Before the cameras rolled, before the billion-dollar box office, before the world saw him as Michael Jackson, there were the rehearsals. Hours and hours of them. In a featurette for Michael, Jaafar Jackson revealed what it really took to become his uncle. I started to rehearse for hours upon hours until one single move was right. Dancing until my feet would bleed or go numb. The rehearsals nobody saw are the real story of how Jaafar became Michael.
I wanted to prove to myself, my family, and the filmmakers that I can do this.
That control of the weight shift, the smoother it's going to look.
I started to rehearse for hours and hours upon hours until one single move was right, dancing until my feet would bleed or them go numb.
Jaafar's transformation didn't start on a soundstage. It started with Michael's own choreographers, Rich and Tone Talagega. He had about 20 days of what he called a boot camp to prove he could pull off the Billie Jean performance from Motown 25. I was so self-conscious, he admitted. I knew I couldn't get it down in that time frame. But he kept trying. He kept pushing. And when those 20 days were over, he took himself to Havenhurst, the Jackson family compound where Michael had trained for years.
Hold it there to go.
Rich and Tone I met very early on in the process because whoever was going to play Michael needed to be trained and be trained by the best. And Rich and Tone were very close to Michael.
Jaafar went back to Havenhurst, the Jackson family compound in Encino, where Michael lived and trained before Neverland. He set up mirrors in Michael's old dance studio. He said, "I think that really was a spiritual journey for me, just to be in that same energy, to sit in that space, but also just to dance for hours and hours every day and look at it as a full-time job." He was alone in that room with no audience, just him and his reflection, grinding it out until he could fool myself in the mirror.
This was the only room in this house where it has the most space to be able to dance. So I put these mirrors in here and also a big cutout of Michael to be there with me while I'm dancing and learning his movement.
The Billie Jean performance wasn't just a scene. It was an obsession. Jaafar focused solely on that one performance for nearly a year. He told GQ, "I was working on Billie Jean. I'll solely focus on that. I would say for about close to a year, cause that was the most challenging for me." He practiced it over and over, studying every frame of the original performance. The Motown 25 performance was iconic, but recreating it frame by frame was a different challenge entirely.
I would say probably Billie Jean, Motown 25, because I wanted to get as close as I possibly could to that frame by frame. And that one was tough because trying to stick to that, frame by frame, but also not coming across as just trying to mimic, but still embodying the performance in it.
When Jaafar Jackson first started working with Michael's own choreographers, Rich and Tone Talagega, they weren't sure he could do it. Michael's moves were so unique that even they doubted whether anyone could truly replicate them. Jaafar had just 20 days to prove he could pull off the Billie Jean performance from Motown 25. The choreographers told him, "We're not sure we can get Jaafar where he needs to be because Michael's moves were so inimitable." But Jaafar refused to give up.
He's doing every movement perfectly well.
Jaafar knew he couldn't master everything in 20 days. But he kept trying anyway. He told GQ, "I was so self-conscious. I knew I couldn't get it down in that time frame." But he pushed through. Even when he couldn't get a move right, he kept trying. He said, "I still tried it again and again over and over until I got it right, or even if I didn't get it right, I was still trying it." That mindset would carry him through the entire production.
I was so self-conscious at that point. I was so, I guess, doubtful in the sense that I knew I couldn't get it down in that time frame. I knew I needed more than 20 days. But within that time, I really learned a lot about myself, that even though I wasn't pulling off a lot of the moves or knowing the meaning behind it, I still tried it again and again, over and over, until I got it right. Or if I didn't get it right, I was still trying it. And
after the boot camp, Jaafar moved his training to Havenhurst, the Jackson family compound in Encino. He set up mirrors in the same room where Michael had trained for years. He said, "I think that really was a spiritual journey for me, just to be in that same energy, to sit in that space, but also just to dance for hours and hours every day. He told Rolling Stone, "I grew up in that house, too, and have personal memories of Michael there, so there were many emotions." He was completely alone in that room, dancing without an audience.
Really got you there to being Michael Jackson, becoming Michael Jackson in this film?
It started really with going to my childhood home, which happens to be where Michael lived, at Havenhurst in Encino, and I trained in the same dance room where he would, train and practice his moves to Billie Jean, and I did the same thing. Also having Rich and Tone, who were the choreographers that were brought in.
One performance consumed Jaafar more than any other: the Motown 25 Billie Jean performance. He focused solely on that one performance for nearly a year. He told GQ, "I was working on Billie Jean, I'll solely focus on that. I would say for about close to a year, cause that was the most challenging for me." He studied every frame of the original performance, breaking it down move by move. He wanted to recreate it exactly as Michael did it.
After that, look at the leg twitches. After that, I would have automatically just cast it. I couldn't do that, that's for sure.
The moonwalk was one of the hardest moves to master. Jaafar told GQ, "I mean, as a kid I always used to try and do it, but it's different when you're doing it as a kid till when you're trying to do it just like Michael and look just like him doing it." He said the flooring, the shoes, the balance, everything had to be perfect, and he was still figuring it out. He admitted, "The spin and the moonwalk are definitely the most challenging."
And the moonwalk, as a kid, I always used to try and do it, but it's different when you're doing it as a kid to when then you're trying to do it just like Michael and look just like him doing it.
Jaafar knew he couldn't just nail the dance moves. He had to balance everything. He told one outlet, "I wanted to set goals for myself, to nail the mannerisms, the vocal, or just his essence and how he goes about in a conversational way. But I also wanted to make sure I had everything in a balanced way. Like, I didn't want the dancing to outdo the acting, or the acting to outdo the dancing." He needed to embody Michael completely, not just his movements.
Out of all the performances, I would say it was the Billie Jean Motown 25 performance. That was the most, I guess I was the most in my head only because I had to, go frame by frame.
Behind every great performance is a team of people who made it possible. For Jaafar Jackson, that team included two Samoan brothers from California. Rich and Tone Talagega were discovered by Michael Jackson's choreographer at a party when they were just 15 and 17 years old. They went on to choreograph Michael's "You Rock My World" music video and dance on his History World Tour. And when it came time to teach Jaafar how to move like his uncle, they weren't sure it was possible.
Big as far as official choreographers with Michael Jackson was "You Rock My World."
Wow.
Video, right?
Rich and Tone had worked with Michael Jackson for years. They knew his moves better than almost anyone. But when producer Graham King asked them to teach Jaafar, they weren't optimistic. Tone told KTLA, "We had to take that syllabus and infuse it into Jaafar. But let me tell you, man, he's a Jackson. He has this talent deep down inside his DNA. It just took us some time, but we pulled it out of him."
Met with Rich and Tone, who are Michael's choreographers, and we were wondering, can Jaafar really do this? Can he really do the most iconic moves the world has seen?
Land like this.
Yeah, I'm always on the wrong side.
And Jaafar said, "Just give me some time."
Rich and Tone had created something remarkable. They broke down every Michael Jackson dance move into a syllabus during their work on MJ, the musical. They had a playbook for every move, every spin, every gesture. Tone said, "We're talking about 4 decades of true American dance, all wrapped up in one person." The Talagega brothers used that same syllabus to teach Jaafar, giving him a systematic approach to mastering his uncle's iconic moves.
When we had our first talk with Jaafar, he literally looked in his eyes and was like, "Our job is to conjure up everything that your uncle did since he was a kid, all the way up until he turned into the king of pop."
Rich and Tone brought something unique to the project. Their Samoan background influenced their creative style, blending island movement with pop, R&B, and street dance. Tone told Samoa Observer, Being of Samoan heritage means the world to us because there are not a lot of us in entertainment. Rich added, we do not only do it for us. We also do it for our entire island back home. Their presence in the film was a source of pride for their community.
You know, we are a minority of a group of people on this planet, right? And to see all this talent come from that dot on a globe is just amazing to be a part of. We don't fake it. We're Samoans. I mean, we were born and raised on the mainland.
The breakthrough came when Jaafar finally stopped thinking and just performed. Tone described the moment. The most important thing that we were preparing for him was the notion of feeling the music and allowing it to connect to him spiritually, so that in the film when he performed, it would come out naturally. Rich and Tone taught Jaafar how to connect the music to his body, how to channel Michael's spirit.
That Michael always does in every song, where he's keeping track of the beat. It was rough for him because it was his first time ever doing it. It was the third week is when we finally realized, oh, he has the work ethic. He's super talented, but it's the work ethic that's going to get.
Jaafar Jackson had just 20 days to prove he could become Michael Jackson. He told The Tonight Show, in my mind, I was like, 20 days? How can I do that? I need a lot more time. And within that time, I was very doubtful. But he didn't have a choice. The choreographers who had worked with Michael for years were watching. The filmmakers were watching. And he had to prove that he could pull off the greatest performance of his life before he'd ever acted before.
The role was incredibly physically demanding.
Producer Graham King had brought in Michael's own choreographers, Rich and Tone Talladega, to assess Jaafar. They had worked with Michael since 1995. They knew his moves better than anyone. And after a week of watching Jaafar, they weren't convinced he could do it. Tone Talladega later explained, we had to take that syllabus and infuse it into Jaafar. But let me tell you, man, he's a Jackson. You know, he has this talent deep down inside his DNA. But initially, even his DNA wasn't enough.
A year and a couple months in, that's when I started working with Rich and Tone, the choreographers that were on the history tour with Michael. So it was like a continuation of many moments. This role was incredibly physically demanding.
Here's what most people don't know. The moonwalk wasn't Jaafar's biggest challenge. The spin was. Jaafar revealed that the spin was the most difficult move because his body naturally turns to the right, but Michael turned to the left. He told one outlet, my body is used to turning right, but Michael turned left. It took him nearly 3 years to master a single movement that lasts just a few seconds on screen. He didn't get it right until months before filming began. The physical toll was extreme. Jaafar revealed, I started to rehearse for hours and hours until one move was right, dancing until my feet bled or became numb. He would wake up sore and ask himself, should I go rehearse? Should I take a break and let my body relax? He spent hours in the dance studio, sometimes working across multiple disciplines including ballet and popping. His commitment was described as self-torture preparation that left the production team stunned.
Rehearse for hours and hours upon hours until one single move was right, dancing until my feet would bleed or them go numb. There's so many times I would wake up sore, like, should I go rehearse? Should I just take a break and let the body relax? Then the other part of my mind would be like, no, what would Michael do?
Let's do it again.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
Jaafar Jackson didn't just learn Michael's moves. He lived them. He moved into Havenhurst, the Jackson family compound where Michael had trained for years. He slept in different rooms to feel his uncle's energy. He created a research room covered in Michael's personal mantras and handwriting. And he danced for hours every day until his feet bled. This wasn't just preparation. It was a spiritual journey, and it changed him forever.
This research room where I put everything I can find on Michael, all of his dislikes, all of his likes, what he loves, what he loves to eat, what he doesn't like, you know. So I just wanted to familiarize myself with everything about Michael in a place where he lived.
Jaafar created a research room at Havenhurst with every inch of the walls covered. He filled it with quotes of Michael's mantras, his personal handwritings, facts about what he achieved, and a complete timeline of world events during different points in his life. He said, I was fortunate to have access to some of Michael's personal writings, which allowed me to get even closer to him. The room became the foundation of his performance.
I was allowed access to a lot of his personal notes, and I realized that he would do mantras, affirmations, and his belief in manifestation was incredible.
What shocked Jaafar most was discovering Michael's belief in manifestation. Michael wrote down everything he wanted to achieve. He would repeat it. He meditated for 30 minutes just looking at his mantras. He put them on mirrors. He put them on the ceiling. Jaafar said, his belief in manifestation was incredible. I didn't realize that about him until I really dived into it. He started applying the same practice to himself.
He would write everything he wanted to achieve. He'd write it down. He would repeat it. He'd even meditate for 30 minutes and just look at those mantras and repeat it back to back. He put on mirrors. He put on the ceiling. So you can see it every day, and it really was like his pursuit to greatness.
The breakthrough came when Jaafar finally understood Michael's philosophy. He told Interview magazine, "Seeing the world through a child's eyes really helps simplify life. You don't overcomplicate things, and that's something I learned in the process." He realized Michael's philosophy was about staying curious and not being jaded. That inspired Jaafar to apply that to his own work, to ask questions, stay curious, and take everything in like a sponge. Jaafar didn't just learn Michael's moves. He channeled his spirit. He studied his personal writings, his mantras, his way of seeing the world. He slept in different rooms to feel the energy. He danced until his feet bled. The preparation was exhaustive, but it was also transformative. Jaafar said, "Without that, I don't think my performance would be what it is, honestly." This is what made him to embody his uncle. If you like stories like this, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.